You don't need more leads, you need to better articulate your value. You don't need more leads, you need to have better messaging in your marketing content. You need to maybe specify and niche down and do a better job pinpointing that within your marketing so that you can increase the quality of leads, which will allow you to increase your conversion rate. It doesn't mean that you need new leads. It's not a lead issue. It's a value articulation issue, which is causing you to have a conversion problem. Hey there. So if you are somebody who is interested, ready, you know you're in a position this year for you to take your business beyond the $300,000 annual revenue mark, and you want to do it sustainably, simply, this episode is probably going to be for you. I think a lot of the time when we're thinking about growing our businesses, and especially when we get to a place where we're trying to surpass the 300 grand, that multi six figures, we typically only focus on lead generation. We think that lead generation is the thing that will allow us to grow the business, to surpass the multi six figures and position ourselves for 7. And what I know to be true, and what has really served me on my business journey, and what I've noticed from the hundreds of clients we have coached, is that when you actually shift your focus away from lead generation and focus on what we're going to talk about in today's episode, that really is a thing that will catapult you beyond that 300K mark and move you beyond that revenue plateau that you might be sitting at. This episode is for somebody who is already seeing success in their business. You're already generating revenue in your business, and you're trying to grow beyond 300K this calendar year. And this is going to be really good for you. So if you're new here, hello and welcome. I am so pumped that you stumbled upon this episode. My name is Jerisha Hawk. I am a business coach. I specialize in high ticket sales and organic growth, and we teach industry experts how to design, deliver, and launch their curriculum-based group coaching programs, $3,000 to $10,000 in price point. And if you follow me on Instagram, you guys know that I love to allow you guys to vote on what topic we're going to be talking about. And this topic 1 is why you should stop focusing on lead gen if you want to grow beyond 300K this year. And this is just a really interesting topic because most of us, myself included, when I was doing about 100 grand a year or what have you, is that I thought that the only way for me to grow was to generate more leads, especially in the online industry and the online education industry. What's typically taught to us or put in front of us is that you have to focus on lead generation, lead generation, lead generation, get new leads, get new leads, get new leads. And when you start to design and decide what you want your business model to be as you grow, your business model that you're choosing to grow with really does need to be the thing that's informing and dictating what type of marketing strategy you deploy, what your sales process and your sales funnel needs to be. And your business model is the thing that you have to start. Your business model should be the thing that informs what you focus your energy and effort on. And if you guys follow me for any amount of time, you guys know that the business model of choice that has really helped me get to the multi-7 figures and the methodology that we teach our clients is using a high ticket business model. Let me slow down before I speed up. So when you're growing your business, let's say you're doing 50 grand, 100 grand, something like that, you've been able to get your first few paid clients in the door. You're starting to get an understanding of where you add value in the marketplace. There might have been a lot of customization, but when you get to a place where you're doing about $100,000 a year, you're gonna have to make some decisions on what business model you desire to grow with. And there's a ton of episodes on the podcast, on my Instagram TVs that talk about this pivot point and that. So we're not gonna spend too much time on that today. But when you are growing with a high ticket business model, and even when I talk about business model, you have to start to ask yourself, even if you're not at a place where you're close to 300 grand right now, my business revenue went from 150 to 330,000 and then the next year to $1 million very quickly. And it was because of the principles that I'm gonna share with you today. You can experience exponential growth when you nail one of these things really, really well. These are questions I want you to think about, because even if you're not at a place where growing beyond 300K is within reach for you right now, this is the mindset and the mentality that should be influencing how you're making business decisions. So the first thing you have to ask yourself and to think about is, where do I want 80% of my revenue to be coming from? And wherever 80% of your revenue is coming from, that needs to be the informant for how you drive the business model decisions. So where do you want 80% of your revenue to be coming from? And when I say 80% of your revenue, that should be coming from one offer, usually. And that offer needs to be either a high ticket, $3,000 or more, or less than $3,000. And in the online coaching industry, there's tons of episodes that I talk about why this is so important. I'll let you guys go listen to those if you need more context. 70 to 80% of your revenue. It either needs to be coming from a low ticket offer that's less than $3,000. That could be membership, a digital course, digital products, whatever. or it needs to be coming from a high ticket offer that's $3,000 or more. So that's a very important decision that you need to make, which will influence why we need to stop focusing on lead gen to surpass 300K this year. And then you have to make that decision to say, I want it to be a high ticket offer, something that is $3,000 or more. This conversation is really relevant for you, because when you are focusing on growing a business where 70 to 80% of your revenue is coming from an offer that is $3,000 or more, the game changes. You no longer need a lot of leads in order for you to hit your revenue goals. Just run the math real quick. Let's just say, for simplicity's sake, I'm gonna go on the high end here. If you're gonna sell something for $10,000, you only need 30 people to say yes for you to make 300 grand. If you're selling something for $5,000, you only need 60 people to say yes for you to make $300,000. Versus if you're selling something for $100, you would need 3,000 people to say yes for you to make 300 grand. So when you fundamentally decide what is the business model direction that I'm going to take, that will influence what marketing metrics or what attributes do I need to focus on to actually make that happen. So 1,000 people at $300 versus if you're selling something for 10,000, you only need 30. So you don't need a lot of leads. There's only 3 ways to grow a business. Is one, you increase the number of clients, meaning you get more people to buy it initially. Second, you increase the average sales price, the average transaction size, meaning this is the average price that somebody pays when they enroll or when they join or when they purchase something from my company. The third is increase the purchase frequency, meaning that you increase the number of repeat buyers. Those are the only 3 ways to grow your business. Increase the number of clients or customers, increase the average transaction size, increase the number of repeat buyers. That's it. That's the only 3 ways to grow a business. So now you have to make a decision as a CEO based on my business model and based on the season of business I'm in. Which one of those 3 levers should I be pulling to help me grow to the next revenue marker that I'm trying to get to? What worked for me was not increasing the number of new leads. My mindset shifted to how can I increase the transaction size and how can I increase the repeat buyers? But really increasing the transaction size was the first thing I did, because how do I elevate my price point? How can I go from charging $1,000 to $3,000? How can I go from charging $3,000 to $6,000? How can I go from charging $6,000 to $15,000? Increasing the price of my program, but being able to effectively articulate my value, attract qualified leads, and enroll people at that elevated price point is what got me above 300 grand a year. You might be in this position right now where you recognize that maybe you haven't even made these decisions, or you're trying to play on both sides of the fence. So again, I want to pull back for a second, because you have to decide if you're making less than $1 million a year, trying to grow your business using both business models, low ticket and high ticket, is difficult. It is challenging. And the reason why it is challenging is because when you're making less than $1 million a year, and when you're trying to grow your business with some $37 a month membership, in addition to trying to grow your business with some $5,000 group coaching program, let me know if this is true for you. How difficult is it to create marketing content without confusing your buyer? It is hard AF. Because you are dealing, it's not because you can't effectively deliver both of those offers. It's not because you can't get clients results with both of those offers. It is because the psychology of the buyer is fundamentally different. Meaning the buying decision criteria that a prospect goes through and the prospect is going through to make a buying decision is fundamentally different. Your marketing, the job of your marketing is to align with the psychology of the buyer, in alignment with how that buyer is making psychological decisions that are influencing how they're making the buying decision, okay? So if you're trying to sell to somebody for a $37 a month membership, their buying decision criteria is to sell somebody a $37 thing that's a month, and you're trying to sell that exact same person a $5,000 thing, they're gonna be asking themselves completely different questions. They're gonna be having completely different objections. They're gonna have different beliefs, perceptions, and thoughts that are going to be influencing how they make that buying decision. The job of your marketing is to align, is to help navigate, to help reduce risk, to help reduce the perceived risk, how people are psychologically making buying decisions. So in order to surpass $300,000 a year, you first need to decide, what is the business model that's going to get me above 300 grand? Is it going to be a high ticket business model? Meaning that I'm going to be selling something that's $3,000 or more, and I'm going to be focusing on a smaller number of leads, a smaller number of clients. So it's high ticket, high value, high touch, low leads. Or am I going to choose to do a business model that is less than $3,000? It's low ticket, low touch, but high volume. You need a lot of leads to make that business model work. Neither one is right or wrong, but it's a decision you have to make. So when you make that decision, that's the first decision you have to make. The second decision you have to make now is, which one of these 3 growth levers do I need to focus on to get me from where I'm at to where it is that I'm trying to grow? Do I need to increase the number of clients that I'm working with? Do I need to increase the average transaction size, the average sales price? Or do I need to increase the number of repeat buyers? And if you're making about 100 grand a year, 50 to 100 grand a year, first lever for you to pull is increase your average transaction price. You don't need more leads. You need to better articulate your value. You need to have better messaging in your marketing content. You need to specify and niche down and do a better job pinpointing that within your marketing so that you can increase the quality of leads, which will allow you to increase your conversion rate. It doesn't mean that you need new leads. It's not a lead issue. It's a value articulation issue, which is causing you to have a conversion problem. This is why, if you guys are a client of mine, why our coaching style, our coaching philosophy is very much on helping you learn how to properly diagnose your problem. Because as business owners, our ability to accurately diagnose what our problem is influences where we put our energy, our money, and our attention to go create solutions. If this whole time you thought you had a lead issue, what will you go do? You'll go hire an ads manager, maybe spend thousands of dollars on paid ads because maybe you just need more leads. You'll start doing JV partnerships. You'll start thinking you need to decrease your price because not enough people are saying yes, even though you know the value is being delivered there and it's worth it. The value is there. If you inaccurately diagnose your problem, you will spend energy, money, time, effort going down the wrong path. And this is why our Team Hawk coaching methodology is so focused on not just telling our clients what to do, but teaching them how to think and coaching them on how to learn how to accurately diagnose the problem that they are currently experiencing in their business. Because problems will always exist in business. Your ability as a CEO is not to have all the answers. Is to be able to accurately diagnose the problem. So if you're already doing like 50 grand, 100 grand a year, one of the simplest levers for you to pull is, how do I increase my transaction size? So most of our clients, when they enroll in Leverage and they start working with us, we've had course creators come into Leverage where they've had really great success. I've had dozens, hundreds of people buy their course at $300 or $600. And the way we've been able to help them triple their business revenue is by taking their digital course that was low ticket and transitioning it into a high ticket offer. And the skill set here is anybody right now can go change their price. Next time you hop on a sales call, or next time you're in direct message having a conversation, you could just say a different price. Changing your price is easy. Being able to enroll somebody at your elevated price point, that is where the work comes in. Because it's not just about what you want to sell it at. You only get paid based off of 3 things. The value that you can deliver, that needs to be influencing your price. The value that you can articulate is critical. People skip over that. Too many business owners are too focused only on, how do I increase the value that I'm delivering? We know that you can deliver the value. That's cost of entry. You wouldn't even be considering elevating your price point and raising the price of your program if the value was not already being delivered. But you need to be able to articulate that value through your program promise and through what you're conveying in your marketing content on a consistent cadence. So it's the value that you can deliver, the value that you can articulate, and the demand that currently exists. If there is not existing demand for what it is that you want to be selling, baby boo, let's talk about it. When we put all these factors in place, lead gen, for most of you guys, if you're growing with a high ticket business model, you do not need a crap ton of leads. You do not need to go build a huge list before you start actively selling. You do not need to go spend all this money hiring an ads manager, hiring a copywriter, hiring a tech team to set up all this stuff to buy cold leads. You do not need that. Instead of focusing on how do I get more cold leads, you need to focus on how do I do a better job of taking my warm leads and making them hot. And I think that's something too. People think about lead generation as this overarching umbrella of like all leads are the same leads. All leads are not the same leads. When you are buying leads through paid ads, those are cold leads that you are purchasing. Every client once started off as a cold lead though. Buying cold leads is not the problem. Most people think that they can take a cold lead and sell them into some $7,000 thing, completely missing the middle. And when you're growing a business, which we have an organic based business, we're not spending money on paid ads to get attention. I'm earning the right to have somebody's attention through the consistency, through the messaging that I am putting out in my marketing content. And I'm playing to the algorithm. I'm using live video. Video-based content is the most prioritized piece of content on any platform in this era. Video-based content is the king. It's the king, the queen, the princess, the prince. It's the whole royal family, okay? Video-based content is the whole royal family. Ain't no cousins coming to, it's video, baby. That's it. So when you can start to recognize, okay, not only did I have to decide the business model, high ticket or low ticket, not only did I have to say, what is the lever that I need to pull to help me grow? Is it increasing clients, increasing transaction size, or increasing purchase frequency? I now need to also decide what is the marketing play that I'm going to double down on. Is it paid ads or is it organic? And I'm being polarizing here intentionally. The reason why I'm saying either or is because most people listening to this do not have capacity to do both of them well. Can you do both of them 100%? Can you do both of them well? That's a different question. Do you have capacity to execute both approaches, both strategies profitably for the season of business that you are in, for the capacity that you currently have available? That's the best question. Because I don't want nobody going on here later on saying, Jerisha's saying it's either this or that, black, white, up, down, lukewarm, hot or cold. The reason why I'm saying it is it's not that you can't do both. But most of us do not have the existing cash flow or the existing capacity to do both well. And I'd rather you, instead of half-assing, trying to do both, I'd rather you make a decision, commit to one, and actually see traction and results. It requires you to make a decision, and it requires you to stick with that decision for a long enough period of time to let the shit play out. Because every one of these decisions now comes with a timeline attached to it for you to even build up a cadence of consistency. If you make the decision today, but be mad, I just made this decision, but I'm not enrolling high ticket clients yet. My question is going to be, since you've made that decision, what does your cadence of consistency look like? If you have made the decision, but you have not yet backed it up with a cadence of consistency, we can't talk yet. Why? Because you don't have data. Data needs to inform the decisions that we make in our business. This is why I'm spiritual, y'all. I'm a Jesus girl. I believe in the Lord. Okay? I operate out of obedience as much as possible. My flesh gets in the way from time to time, and I got to course correct my behavior. But too many business owners are making all the decisions based off of their feelings. And those feelings are usually rooted in their fears. But we have not backed up those feelings, and we have not eradicated those fears. You have to look at the facts of the situation. It is not what you want it to be. The feeling that you have around it is, baby, what does the data tell us? So if you have made the decision to say, okay, Jay, I'm going all in on high ticket, bet. So that means if you decide that you're going to play in the pool, that's $3,000 or more. You now have to say what's required of me to be able to command and demand that type of price point. I need to have a program promise, non-negotiable. I need to be able to claim and guarantee something specifically, because when people are buying a high ticket price point, they are not paying for the potential of what could be. People are paying for what they know will happen, a guarantee. When you elevate your price point, you are no longer a generalist. If you were a generalist trying to sell something, you could get away without having a promise. But when you now elevate your price point above $3,000, you are now saying that you are a specialist, an expert. And if you are an expert and you are a specialist, guess what? If I'm hiring, that means I should be able to trust in you. You should be able to guarantee me something. We used to own a house and we had to hire a plumber once. If I'm hiring some general technician, he might be able to come to the crib and be like, I guess this might be your problem. But no, if a real problem happened and I wanted to hire a specialist, that specialist needs to be able to come in and not tell me what the problem might be. They need to have enough expertise and enough specialization to be saying, this is what the problem is, this is what caused it, and this is how we rectify it. That's what I'm paying premium for. I'm not paying premium for you to guess. I'm not paying premium for you to give me some general overview of all the issues that might happen. I'm paying for you to accurately diagnose my problem and to prescribe a solution to fix my issue. That's the difference between a low ticket program and a high ticket one. Most low ticket programs are high level. They introduce a concept. They elevate your thing. They make you more aware of a generalized approach. Most high ticket programs, they are able to diagnose the problem because, one, qualify if you're the right fit for it. And then thirdly, offer you a solution to solve the issue where the problem is now handled, baby. Like if you charging more than $3,000, you need to have your Olivia Pope game on, baby. It's handled. B613 calling a black woman to come in. Like, fix this situation. I got it. That's what you got to be able to come in here with. So once you make that decision, Now you have to have a cadence of consistency of elevating your positioning, of elevating the sophistication of your marketing content. You got to act like you know your shit because you know it. This is no more time to be, oh, it depends. People are not paying premium for it to depend. People are paying premium for a damn solution. If you were going to the doctor, let's say that you go to a general physician will be able to look at your vitals, to see what's going on, but they may not be able to accurately diagnose. And if they recognize that something might be popping off, what are they going to do? They're going to send you to a specialist who can accurately diagnose and prescribe you a solution for your issue. Because that's above my generalization. And guess what? That specialist, that specialized doctor, guess what? They get paid. They're getting paid more money. So you have to ask yourself, everybody got to have a lane in the game, right? There's general physicians, and I'm not a doctor, so I don't know all the names of these folks. And then there's specialists. You got to ask yourself, which game am I playing? Which side of the line do I want to be on? And then you have to make sure that your offer is designed and positioned for the perception that you're trying to move it into. You have to make sure that your messaging is sophisticated enough to attract, to communicate, and to deliver, and articulating your value for that higher end person. So when you make these three core decisions of the business model, of the lever that you're going to pull to grow, and then have a cadence of consistency after you've now made that decision. There's three different types of how this will visually look in your Stripe account. There's three different graphs that you might experience. Either one, you're going to be in a season of plateau, meaning the line is just flat. The second one is that you might have linear growth, where it is incrementally increasing over time. There's incremental growth. There is a line, but it's going up. Linear growth. The third one is exponential growth. Like my little hand curve. It was maybe flat for a little bit with a slight curve, and it was like, boom. It's like your cousin at the barbecue who got the real, like, voluptuous body. Like she came through with a Coca-Cola situation. Like she has exponential curvature, okay? I was never that girl. I was always the linear chick, and sometimes even a plateau girl. Like I was between plateau and linear for my body type. I always wished I could have been thick. God didn't give me everything I wanted on this earth, but he gave me a lot of things. But I never got the exponential body type. But I did get the exponential bank account. Come on, Lord. I'm just playing around with y'all. But those are the three types of growth that you might be in. Are you in a season of plateau? Are you in a season of linear growth? Or are you in a season of exponential? I gotta be funny sometimes, because even when you're teaching and talking and doing live video, it's like, how do you get people to remember the message? Y'all gonna remember exponential growth now because I done applied it to your cousin who you've been envious of your entire life. It's like, she's always been exponential. But I want you guys to ask yourself, which growth are you in? Plateaued, linear, or exponential? So depending on what season you're in, if you're already linear, now you have to ask yourself, okay, if I'm plateaued, how do I just get linear? If you're linear, how do I now consider going exponential? And I think increasing your leads can make more money, but like, is that the best lever that you should pull based off the business model that you are focused on in this season for the attribute of growth that you're trying to grow to? So if you are plateaued, don't focus on how do I get exponential. You need to just focus on how do I start pulling this line up and getting linear. Sometimes people who are plateaued try to do too much. They start overcomplicating their business model, and they start overcomplicating their marketing approach, which causes them to remain plateaued but then burnt out. Because they now working 3 times as hard, but they're not gaining the momentum to get them out of plateau state, to get them off the ground. So if you are linear, just decide on which one of those levers do you need to pull. Are you in a season where you do actually need to get more leads? Which means you still need to figure out what's causing you not to get a yes. Are you too generic somewhere based off the business model? If you're charging high ticket, if you want to get anybody in the door, you have to have a clear program promise. You have to be willing to share your perspective publicly. I think if you get nothing else out of today, if you are charging high ticket, people are not paying for your perfection. They are paying for your perspective. Meaning you have to have an opinion about a specific person that you serve around a specific solution that will solve their specific problem. You have to have a perspective. Meaning that you have to not agree with something else that they have tried, done, or tested. You have to have another opinion that counteracts maybe what others in your industry are saying, that counteracts other techniques they have tried that have not worked. You have to have a perspective, and you have to be willing to share that perspective publicly, meaning that you cannot have this private perspective about this is what they're doing wrong. This is really what somebody needs to do if they want to solve their problem, just privately. But then I go look at your Instagram news feed and you over here talking like you just General Jane, just generic as can be. Like quoting other people's stuff versus you quoting yourself. So then you end up sounding like whitewashed, but privately you got all the opinions in the world. Your private perspective needs to be published in the public. Like, I know what I'm saying right now is counterintuitive to what maybe your previous business coach or your brand strategist, some of what I'm saying might be consistent. But guess what? I got a perspective. I have an opinion based off of experience that I have done, based off results that I have gotten, based off of data that I've seen from clients that I have worked with, which allows me to have conviction around my perspective. This is why it's so important for you to teach what you have done and not for you to copy somebody else. Because if you are copying somebody else's perspective, you will not have the conviction to communicate it on your own platform, which means you will not have the confidence to be able to back up whatever the hell it is that you're saying. This is why if you enroll in a program of mine, this is not like become Jerisha Hawk. Here's my cookie cutter, just build my business model, use my price point, build a program that's 12 weeks for $2,000 just because I told you to do it. No. Understand the philosophy around what I'm teaching. Understand the mindset that you have to have. And you have to be able to more deeply embody your truth, more deeply embody your beliefs, more deeply embody what you know to be true based off experience that you have had, based off results that you have gotten, based off of data that your clients have achieved. That is the hard part about working with me, because you have to more deeply own you, your experience, the ugly parts of your journey. You have to be willing to share a different perspective and be bold enough and courageous enough to say, hey, this is what I believe. Even if you don't believe it. And I'm not going to shame you for not believing it, but just I'm not probably for you. It requires you to more deeply express and more visibly allow yourself to be seen. This is why you can't copy somebody. You can try to, but it won't last long. Or maybe you'll have success, but you'll end up realizing you built somebody else's dream. You did not build your own. You might notice yourself, if you do have success copying somebody else, you will notice that you will build a business that you regret. You will build a business where you have external success, but you have internal depression. And I don't want that for you. So let me get off that tangent. There's only 3 ways to grow your business. Increase the number of customers, increase the transaction size, increase the purchasing frequency. If you want to grow beyond 300K, that's a decision you have to make. Which one of those levers makes the most sense based off of the business model that you are in, based off the season that you are in? That's it. Business model, you got to decide. I'm not saying you can't do both, but if you're trying to have a low ticket offer and a high ticket offer, ask yourself, where do I want 70 to 80% of my revenue to come from? Which one of those things? I'm not saying that you can never sell low ticket in the future or whatever. All I'm saying is that honor the season that you are in. You got to do what you got to do to get to where you want to go so that you can do what you want to do. Too many people want to do it their way, how they want to do it, in their comfort zone, wondering why their business is plateaued. Because one thing about business is not about you. Your business only exists to serve and solve somebody else's problem. Your business only exists to create opportunities for transactions to take place. That's it. You have to make the decisions to put you in the position. You have to do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do. And most of us ain't in a position yet where we can only do what we want to do. You cannot build a business in a silo. I don't know anybody who has done that well without factoring in the real economics at play. You are in a capitalistic society, meaning that our general consciousness of people exchange money for value based off of perceived value, based off of value that has been articulated, not just value that's been delivered. You have to advocate for yourself. And part of your self-advocacy is that through you effectively articulating your value publicly. You have to prove that. You have to articulate that. You have to display that. So that's all I got, y'all. Just thank you guys for tuning in. I will talk to y'all later. Bye, y'all. If you liked the video you just watched, click this one. You might like it even more. Go ahead, check it out.